What's going on, everybody? In Full Stride is back for episode 2. I'm Carson Gabaro here with Kala'i Makanani, one of the hottest dual sport athletes in the New York State capital region from Ballston Spa. How you doing today, Kala'i?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Dude, thanks so much for coming on. Would you like to tell the people a little bit more about yourself before we start?
My name is Kala'i Makanani. I'm a track and field athlete here at Ballston Spa High School. I'm also a football player here. I'm a running back and outside linebacker, and for track, I run the 400 and the 200.
Yeah, thank you for that. And, you know, things may not have always been that way, at least for the 400, because until this past spring season, according to your mile split profile, you'd only run 2 400-meter races, but we're going to get more into your journey with embracing the quarter mile and just really how both sports have helped you become the super athlete that you are today and potentially will be down the line. So, yeah. Any big things that you would like to start us off with? Like, where are you at with sports right now in your football season?
The team is 5-3 right now. All right. Lost some really close games. Burnt Hills, that was a really close one, 14-7. Averill Park messed up. We could have won that one, but we're coming back. We got one more game against Queensbury. Playoffs right around the corner, November 1st, playoffs.
Yeah, and the nail-biting losses, I mean, you win some, you lose some in both track and football, in any sport really, but just being able to pick yourself back up from those losses, I think, is something that's really huge for you. How do you feel that you and the team have really been doing that in these past few weeks?
A loss is a great thing, so we got to bounce back from the adversity that we faced on Friday night. So getting back together as a team is a big thing, and practice Monday is really where it all changes because you all got to come closer from that big loss that you had Friday night.
Now I got to ask you, because of course you can only do one sport at a time, only one season at a time with football and indoor-outdoor track. Where do you see overlap between the sports when you're in different seasons?
I say like sprinting, the conditioning, and the weight room, because the weight room plays a big factor in track and football, so it definitely helps each and every one. And it's pretty much the same workout. And speed workouts, they're pretty much the same for football and track. So, do you ever do like any track workouts during football season, or is it all just those speed workouts translating over? As of right now, I've only been doing football workouts, and actually if I ran anything over than 55 meters, I think I'd tear a muscle. But I got to get back into conditioning. I'm starting more speed endurance training so I can get back in that track shape.
Yeah.
And it's almost the end of football season, so now I got to lock in for track. So
right.
Now I got to get to it.
And during track season too, of course, football lifting sessions usually start then. So how does the schedule kind of vary then with speed and strength training?
It conflicts a lot, but like I said, it's like more of like the same workouts, like it's all like you're lifting to be like an athlete, not like a bodybuilder. So it really helps each other. It's really relevant for each other. Like a big workout I do for football and track is like sled pushes, sled pulls to help with like the explosion. And like for football, it helped me with like just getting faster and burning everybody down the field. And for track, it helps with my start, which is a problem I have. Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, knowing that you have that 200 background has definitely been helpful with your 400, as I've been seeing. One other thing I'm curious about too, not just with the workouts, but what are your measurables for football? Like your height and your weight?
5'11", 183. So I'm more of it's weird because I have like a weird build for a 400 runner. Like normally for the 400, you want to be like a tall, lighter guy, but me, I'm really flexible, so that helps a lot. And on the football field, I'm bigger, faster and stronger than a lot of these guys, so it helps a lot.
Yeah, I was curious about that too, because like sometimes athletes will have a specific race weight in mind, maybe more so on the mid-distance front, but do you ever try to like lean up when you get more into exclusively track season, or do you just try and keep that build that you mentioned right now, that 5'11", 183?
No, I got to get back in shape. Like track season, at the end of track season, I think I was 173, and now I'm 183, so I bulked up a little bit, got some more muscle, but no, I got to cut back down, probably like that same area, And because if I'm carrying all this weight, it's not going to help me for the 400 at all.
Yeah. We're going to, again, dive it a little bit more into the 400 aspect of things. But one big thing I noticed recently on social media was that Adidas Track Nationals made a special post for you, track speed translated into football speed. It was cool. They showed a highlight of your indoor 200 PR, which you ran in their prelims, 22:76 back at Virginia Beach. And then they showed one of the many football highlights of you on this field right here, just short catch and run screen all the way to the house. So just knowing that you can get that kind of recognition at the national level heading into your senior track season, what does it mean to you?
It means a lot. I remember coming here freshman year. I didn't know what to think. I just wanted to do track because of football, because I thought it would help my football speed. And now I'm here, and I think I'd like to say I like track more than football now.
It's crazy because I feel like for football, the thrill of being fast is almost greater than it is in track, because in track, you're stressing about how you're going to execute, especially for a race like the 400 and even the 200, how you're going to make each step, each where and when. All the analytics are cycling through your mind. In football, you're just thinking about getting from point A to point B as fast as possible, and that makes it fun.
Yeah, definitely. When you got like 11 guys trying to get to you, like trying to kill you, it makes you run so much faster. So yeah, you got to run your butt off.
It's cool, too, because I feel like running scared is something that applies a lot to distance runners, but it applies to sprinters, too, on the football field and, of course, in the 400 in that last final 100 meters. But another thing I took away from that post that I mentioned by Adidas was one of the comments. It read, "Track and field is the foundation of all other sports." And it's not the first time that that's been said. It's probably not the first time that I've said it in my lifetime, but I think it's a really important theme when you consider what you said about taking a liking to track and field. So when did you first really discover the foundation that track and field had for you across all of your athletics career?
I was always fast, coming in like football and stuff. So I decided to do track because every football player does track to like make themselves faster. That's like a whole philosophy. But I started like my first track year, I was like, all right, I'm kind of good. I didn't see too much improvements or anything because I didn't really take it serious. But my sophomore year, it was at like the end of state quals. I got I think it was like sub 23. That was my first time, and I was so happy. I was like, oh, I gotta take this serious now. And then I kept like noticing like speed improvements. So like my speed improvements my whole sophomore year from track, and I took it to the football field my junior year, and it definitely helped a lot. I saw so much improvements and stuff.
And those improvements definitely carried over to your indoor season junior year with another event that was a little bit longer than the 200, but a little bit shorter than the 400. It's the 300, and you got your time all the way down to 35:02 by the end of the season from 37s at the beginning of the season. So was that really the first big gain that you felt yourself making in the speed endurance and potentially opening the door to the 400?
Yeah, that was definitely the biggest improvement I've noticed ever, because 2 seconds, that's a lot. Like at the beginning of the season, I remember looking at the New Balance standards, and I was like, what? No way I'm getting that. But then, I hit, I think 36 at the one Armory meet, and I was like jogging, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can make so much improvements to this. So definitely.
It was cool. It was 36:05, and then after that it was 35:5, and then at States you got 35:02, which is now number 8 on the Section 2, which is the local section of sports here in the Albany area. 8 all-time on the Section 2 list after not even being on the list going into your junior year. So, again, just like you said, that was definitely one of the biggest gains that you felt yourself making. Was that something that you expected going into the season? How did you make that happen?
Well, at the end of football season, I was like, I got injured my junior year, so I was out like 3 games. I was like, all right, it's track season now. I got to lock in. This is important for me. So I just did so much speed endurance work. I started lifting more. I noticed so much more improvements. So I didn't know I was going to hit 35 low, but I was definitely expecting something great.
Mm-hmm. And although you had run so many 300s and other events in the indoor season, you didn't exactly get the chance to attack the full quarter mile. Of course, it's rarely run in the state of New York at the high school level indoors, but still, what ultimately skewed you to become more of a 200, 400 guy rather than stick to that traditional, typical football 100, 200 long jump sprinter?
I say my start really messed that up for me. Like, I have a problem with my block start. Like, every single time I start, I just pop right up. So once I figure that out, I feel like I'm going to go back to the 1. I'm going to pick up the 1, so I'll be the 1, 2, 4 guy and the 3 guy. So
the point scorer.
Yeah, the point scorer. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're used to scoring points on the football field, so it can't be any different than that, can it?
No, pretty much the same exact thing.
Let's see. Let's keep going with the 400 though, because when you started the 400, when you really chose to commit to it, you outlined a big goal at the beginning of the season. It was right here. It was at the first meet of the season. You said,
I'm going sub 50 in the 400. Best believe that.
He said it, and it didn't happen right away. Tell me what the whole journey to getting to sub 50 was like, and perhaps if there were any factors that shocked you about the real difficulty of the 400 once you embraced it.
So coming off the 300, I thought, wow, 35, like, I'm a big mile split stalker, so like I see all the other guys that are running like 35, 36, and they crack like a 48. So I'm thinking, oh, I can do that really easily. But then coming the first meet, it was the Frigid Cup. I ran a 51. I was like, wow, this is gonna be a hard, long journey, because the last 100 is a big killer. You can't just run the full thing and then just expect to have a breeze in the last final stretch of the 100. So definitely, that was the biggest adversity for me.
That definitely applies when you consider moving up from any distance to a greater distance, because as I've found in my own, 4 fun experiences of this sport, I've tried time trials of like 500, 600. On paper, I'm built for those events. I'm a taller, lean guy, like Kala'i mentioned, is good for a 400, 800 type of distance, mid-distance runner, but the fibers, right? You're not trained to run that extra 100. So that's where that difficulty ultimately stems from. So how did you find yourself alleviating that and really working away at that?
The speed endurance training, that was a big thing. Those workouts sucked, but they did help. So that really helped me get like that extra gear to help me go sub 50. Like I said, I started off 51, but then the speed endurance training and like more endurance focused training, that really helped me, and that was like the key to running sub 50.
Yeah, it helped you get even pretty close to it with a couple of tough lane draws. I know in a lot of your races, because again, you didn't have a lot of seed times to your name in the 400 specifically, so they would often plop you in lane number 1, having to run those tight bends. And would you say that you've found your ideal pacing strategy for the 400? Because I feel like that's another thing, if you're new to the event, that you really just kind of have to play around with and find what's best for you.
Yeah, it took me a minute to find. At first, starting the beginning of the season, I would just run as fast as I can and see where I'd end up, and then hopefully just like somehow survive the last final 100. But then more as I focused and more like I wanted the goal of sub 50, I realized I had to push off hard for like the first 40 meters and then stay like 90%, and then the backstretch right over there, that's where you got to be like
the float phase.
Yeah, that's your fastest. And then to the third like the curve over there, you just gotta
you can't give up.
And then the 4 is, everybody says you got the monkey on your back, and you just gotta keep pumping. That's all about the arms, knees, and that's hell right there. But you just gotta keep focused. That last final 100, that's all mentality right there.
Mm-hmm. And that definitely played out in a lot of your later races that season. Once you had familiarized yourself with the event, once we got the championship season, May 15th, the big day. Suburban Council Championships. That's basically like the large school league in our region. It was a 3-way battle. It was you and 2 other guys from the same school, all fighting it out down the home straightaway with that monkey on all of your backs. It was decided by 0.05 seconds, but even tighter was the battle for sub 50. You won with 49.98. What was that feeling like once you realized you had finally broken 50, had done what you had set out to do at the beginning of the season?
Once I hit that feeling, oh my gosh, it was amazing. And you can't go back from that. But now it's like sub 48. But when I got that feeling, that was the best feeling. Like all the hard work, it's like a big goal of mine for a while now. Yeah. It felt amazing.
And I think it's not just about achieving sub 50 in the 400, but it's more than that, right? Because it was a new event for you, remember, coming into the season. It was a new challenge. And what does that say to you about your mindset that you mentioned before, knowing that you could conquer one of the most difficult events in the sport?
It really shows me that I can it was a really big confidence booster. It helps me show that I can do anything that I put my mind to, as long as I keep working hard and keep pushing for it, because you can't give up.
In what ways, in addition to embracing the 400 and allowing it to mold you into a greater athlete, do you think you've gained a track and field mindset as you go about your daily life?
Well, let me think of that.
'Cause I feel like the sport can almost make you so much more conscious of a lot of things that you may be doing right or not doing right when you just go about your day. So are there any ways that you've felt the sport teaching you some of those ways, perhaps?
Definitely on the football field, when we're doing conditioning and stuff, having long sprints, especially when we have down and backs.
Oh, yeah.
The
Wednesday night striders.
I always got to be first. You say practice worry if you want, but I always got to be first. It helps my mentality. It's a good mindset to have.
Another thing I noticed too, I was actually watching a few of your football highlights leading up to this episode, and this one touchdown I noticed, it was a couple of weeks ago, in fact, against LaSalle, another local team, and you took it, you made one cut. Let's just show the highlight clip so the people can see. Now, why did I pick that specific clip to show to the people? Why?
So it was really just a showcase of speed, and then once I broke free and got to the end zone, I decided to hit that finished the line.
You gotta lean at the line. I'm telling you, I feel like for me, that's one way that having a track mindset has molded my life, because I'm a guy. When I'm home, I just like to run up the stairs just for fun. If I'm going into my room at night, sometimes I'll even just lean through the doorway. Yes, I'm a track nerd. That's what I do. But track mindset ultimately shapes us in that way. It kind of allows us to love the sport unapologetically. And I commend you for your bravery to say that you've taken a liking to track almost greater than the path more so often taken in football. So how proud are you to say that you were a track and field athlete after all that you've been through thus far and all that's to come for you down the road?
I'm really proud. It was a long and hard journey, but I still have a huge road ahead of me, not even close to being over yet, but going to face a lot more adversities. There's a lot of more times that I want to reach. So it's really cool to know that I have so much more improvement to do in my track and field career.
Great. So let's turn the page to the future. You are, as I mentioned, an up-and-coming track senior. So what's on your radar as far as college and everything's going right now?
Going through the recruitment process right now, currently uncommitted, looking at different schools and stuff, just trying to find the right fit for me, because there's a lot of good programs out there.
It's a touchy subject, I know, recruiting, but share as much as you are willing to. Just know that. You're in a setting where you don't have to share any more than you are willing to.
All right. The most recent official visit I just went on was Buffalo. I liked it a lot. Great coaches, great facilities, and I really liked the team.
Go Bulls. Also, would you be willing, if the right opportunity were to come your way, to play both sports in college?
I actually don't know, because I've heard so many stories of how painful it is and how balancing both sports is. And
yeah.
I mean, I love both of them, so I really never know.
It's difficult because we look at a lot of the recent guys that have followed that trajectory, right? Big example being Nicholas Harbor, going low 10s on the 100 and going on to play college football for the Gamecocks of University of South Carolina. That's something that you don't see every day. And I feel like there's a balance that you want to strike between wanting to be one of those not seen everyday stories versus actually putting what's best for you first. So yeah, that's the decision you're going to have to make once you get to that point. Are you confident that you'll know what's best for you in the long run?
I'm not too confident because, like I said, I played football my whole entire life. So it really means a lot to me. But then track, I mean, I love it as well. But it's going to be a hard decision to make. But I'm sure once I make it, it will be a good one.
With that in mind, we've got to give equal treatment to the sports, of course. Even though this is a track and field podcast, how has football changed your life? Because we've talked so much about it from the track perspective. How has football made you into the athlete that you are today?
Football shaped me hugely. If I didn't play it, I don't know where I'd be today. I don't think I'd be half the athlete that I am today. It really helped with my speed, my strength, and my physicality, my mindset. If I didn't play football, I wouldn't have the same mindset that I have today.
Mm-hmm. And there's another element of football too that I think goes so often overlooked. We know about the weight room, we know about the speed, strength, and conditioning, but there's also the film room. We don't really see that as much in track. And so, getting to analyze yourself, analyze other people, preparing for your opponents. Do you feel like you've taken some of that analytical perspective to track and field, just watching what you've done, what you can do better to help nail down your times?
Yeah, definitely. Football, I try to watch film on the other teams like 3 hours a week, just trying to see what I can do possibly to get the win and stuff. And track is kind of the same thing. Like, I always watch my videos after I run. I watch my form. I see how well I did. I see what I can improve on. And then if I didn't run a good race, I see what went wrong. So I help critique myself.
Mm-hmm. And I think we can attribute that to a lot of your improvements that you made thus far. But what would you say are some of your big goals that you want to achieve once you have completed your Ballston Spa track and field career?
So my biggest goals is sub 48 in the 400. I want that big 47. And then in the 300, I want a 34 low, possibly sub 34. You never know.
I mentioned the Section 2 all-time list, our local area. Only one guy in Section 2 has ever done that, sub 34. So that would be really special. And even what you've already done has been truly special. I remember, too, back in February, it was the first time that you and I had ever really done an interview together for Mile Split, and unfortunately this interview was off camera because somebody pressed the record button when he thought he was pressing stop record. Irrelevant, but you told me that there was one big race in the indoor season that you wanted to be a part of. Which race is that?
The Milrose Games.
300, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you plan to get yourself there? Because it's not something that, of course, you can just walk right into, as we know, with the exclusivity of the biggest indoor meet around. So, do you have a plan to get there?
It's definitely not going to be easy, but it's just going to be a constant grind. I got to start right now. I've been started for I'd say the past month, just figuring out how I'm going to get there. A big problem was my start. So I've been fixing my start, been doing more explosive workouts and lifts and stuff, so I'm hoping to get there.
I'm curious, when you start on a bank, it's kind of cool, right, for the indoor 300, because you don't really get to run a lot uphill. You're almost starting into a downhill, so just having that downgrade, does that almost help you feel better about your start when you're running that event?
Yeah, it definitely does, because I know a lot of guys are good on the flat ground with the blocks, but me, I'm kind of weird. I like the curve. I like starting on the curve, and it's a little weird with the bank, but I think it helps me a lot.
Yeah. And another thing, just having been through that big journey with the 400, an event that is far more of a beast than the 300, at least in common knowledge and whatnot, just knowing that you have done what you've done for the 400, what are you going to take from that journey to sub 50 to apply to your next journey with the 300 indoors?
It's going to be a lot of hard work, because it took me a lot of hard work to get to sub 50, but I know I'm going to have to have that mindset going to last 100, and that will separate me a lot, because my 300 35:02, I didn't really finish that strong. I kind of just gave up when I saw other people passing me. But for the 400, you never give up, because you never really know what you can achieve if you put your mind to it.
Yeah, and of course we've still got another season left in that outdoors, indoors and outdoors. I believe you did 2 nationals apiece, right?
Yeah, I did. So for the indoor, I qualified for the 300 and I ran the 200. And then outdoors, I went to Adidas Nationals and I ran the 200 and the 400. But for indoor, I actually ran at...
You ran New Balance and Adidas, that's
yes.
right. And you also ran Junior Olympics in the fall. But either way, just knowing that you can set yourself up for doubles like that at the end of already long seasons, what have you learned about peaking and getting yourself into top fitness to get to those points?
It's definitely a big factor. Coming at my nationals for Adidas at the end of my outdoor season, I couldn't break 50. It was a big struggle. But then I joined Sky's the Limit. I had some people help me: Jordan, Kyler, Eli, Ed. They're a big help. Shout out them. If it wasn't for them, I don't think I could have got that big PR. It was 49 flat that I got at the AAU qualifier meet.
And that's crazy too, because it was in end of July, right?
Yeah, it was.
That was when you had already kind of been a little bit in football mode, I'd imagine, right? With training camp and all that. So I feel like that's probably the biggest moment of overlap that you've experienced thus far between the two sports. So what was your whole schedule like preparing for that?
I had to stay consistent with football lifts because I didn't want to fall behind. But then that was when I realized I wanted to take track serious. Like, that's when I like track more than football, because I just had to stay consistent with that. I had to skip so many football workouts. I had to drive to Christian Brothers Academy to practice, probably like almost every single night. But
it's about a 30-minute drive per perspective. So yeah. And one of the guys you mentioned too, Kyler, our first guest on In Full Stride. I remember I actually mentioned you at one point in the last episode with context to, getting in those big races with the Quincy Wilsons of the world. Just seeing all those guys that you've aspired to be in the conversation with, just do all these great things. What makes you want to be on their level?
I have that good mentality, and when I see what they have, I want it all. So I'm going to work my butt off for it, and I'm next. I'm coming up. I'm on the come up. You're going to see my name on the big screen, on everything.
K-Mac is coming for you. I think we've covered, like I've said before, a lot of good ground to get to this point. Are there any other big topics that you would like to discuss today?
No, I can't think of anything at the moment.
I got a few fun questions for you. It's all good. You were number 7 in football. Do you have a favorite football player to have ever worn number 7? Besides yourself, of course.
Let me think. My dad wore number 7 in high school, so that's really why I wear it. But other than that, I just like the Las Vegas Raiders. So
I see.
I'm a loyal fan.
Yeah, nice. I think the last player I remember wearing 7 might have been Zay Jones. With your dad playing football, did he run track or anything? Do you have a big family background with sports?
My family's a big football and soccer type of family, but nobody's ever really run track because they're more of like big weight room guys, never really fast, but I'm the fastest in the family, proudly. So I'm like the first one to run track, really.
What made you want to be different?
Well, my dad always told me that I was fast. And for football growing up, I'd always score like lots of touchdowns and stuff, and it was really easy for me. So I was like, oh wait, I'm kind of fast. So I decided to take it on the track.
Yeah, got to start somewhere. Another fun question I have for you. What is the most random thing that has ever happened to you, either at a football game or at a track meet?
Let me think of this. The most random thing. All right. Probably the most random thing that's ever happened to me was at a football game. I was running. It was a play. I was running down the field, and then my shoe came off while I was running.
Oh my gosh, that reminds me. My first 300 of senior year back in 2017. This is crazy. I lined up. It was at U Albany. It was a track that you couldn't wear spikes on, so I was literally wearing my trainers, and I didn't double knot my shoes, and my shoe came untied midway through, and I still PR'd by like a full second, which I dropped by like another second towards the end of the season, but still, you gotta love fun, feel-good stories like that. It even happened in a PE mile of mine. The gym teacher made me run back and grab my shoe, and I was really upset about it because I was gonna PR there too, but irrelevant. How's everything else been for you outside of sports lately?
Outside of sports, I've just been dealing with trying to get in college. I'm about to write my college essay.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm probably going to write about sports because it's been a lot to me and my whole entire life and journey.
I dare you to submit this episode to them as your college essay. What do you think would happen if we submitted this as your college essay?
I think they'd love it.
I think they would too. Hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe for more. And don't forget to follow Kala'i on social media, KMax7 on Instagram. Any more last thoughts that you'd like to leave the people with?
Like I said, watch out. I'm on the come up.
All right. Stay tuned, guys.